Welcome to the Weekly Mac. Today's topic is trends. Our guest today is a man who knows a couple of things about trends, the fashion designer Custo Dalmau. Can you be trendy with all rhythms? We'll listen to the Lazy Lights, a band from here with the 60s flair. And we'll have a laugh at the most embarrassing trends with Marc Broderick and Matthew Tree. Let's get the Weekly Mac started, your trendiest talk show in English, hosted by Marcella Topor.
Hi, how are you? Today we want to explore the world of trends. How important are they? How much do they rule our lives? We'll start with a very special guest, a Catalan who has made his own way into the world of international fashion and has set a brand in the world of casual clothing. But before that, let's take a look at some words that will come up in the interview.
Custo Dalmau is one of the most important Catalan designers. His creations are recognized worldwide now, but were first seen in the American market on TV series and commercials. A commercial is a paid advertisement or announcement on radio or television. We could say that Custo has been a pioneer in the fashion industry with his printed t-shirts. Someone who is referred to as a pioneer in a particular area or activity is one of the first people to be involved in it and develop it. Everyone is waiting for Custo's collections to see his innovations. One can see them first in catwalks. At a fashion show, the catwalk is a narrow platform that models walk along to display clothes. And those clothes models wear may be in fashion soon. If something is in fashion, it is popular and liked by many people at a particular time. On the contrary, if it is out of fashion, it is no longer approved of.
He's been described as passionate, self-taught and a tireless worker. This Catalan fashion designer was inspired by surf fashion when he decided to start designing t-shirts with his brother. His designs were made popular in the US and you could see them in films like Jackie Brown or in series like Friends or Sex in the City. His name is Custo Dalmau. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having us here.
It's great to have you here. Well, Custo, your t-shirts have been described as casual, funky, flashy. So, does Custo Barcelona still fits into this description? I see that today you're not wearing a flashy t-shirt. It's a plain one, one color. So, how does it go?
Well, it's what we say, in House of the Shoemaker, barefoot. I am working all the time, every day, with a lot of colors. And well, sometimes I need something neutral,
Yes.
Well, everything start, what we do today, start 30 years ago, and we start as a graphic designers that we choose the t-shirts as a support of our graphic design instead of a wall or instead of a paper. No? We didn't study, neither my brother, neither me, fashion, and if we know something about fashion was by practicing 38 years.
Mm-hmm. Actually, you studied architecture, and it all started with a journey. You went to many places around the world with your brother. Okay, on your bikes.
Yes.
So, and then you decided to start your own business. So,
yes. Well,
what happened? I mean, your interest in fashion, how was it born?
Well, everything started 30 years ago after a trip that we did around the world in motorcycle. It was a world absolutely different than today. The communication those days was much slower and much local than today. Today everything is global and immediate. And we discover in this travel the surf. We know when we was in Barcelona that in some places in the planet people navigate on the waves, but we never saw it, and we was surprised when we discovered surf in California. And after, when we finished that trip, well, I decided not to go back to the school of architecture, and we decide with my brother to start a project of graphic design, where the support, instead of a wall or instead of a paper, was a t-shirt. And that brings into the industry of fashion.
Mm-hmm. Is traveling still an important part of your life?
Yeah, well, I am traveling since I was very young, and I'm still traveling. Today I'm traveling because, well, for reasons of work, but I also decide to travel before I start this project, to travel around the world, because curiosity was a big thing for us.
Is curiosity important in your career, and you think it's important in life to achieve success?
Well, success, I think, is important for human people, but you have to define success, you know.
What was the key to your success?
Well, I think basically it was enthusiasm, you know, because we really start fashion without even knowing that fashion exists. We start this thing by designing our graphics and applying them on a T-shirt, and that 38 years ago become something very exotic, very innovative, and that was the thing that bring us into the fashion industry.
Let's talk about your beginnings. What was your first T-shirt like?
Well,
do you remember?
Yeah, of course. The first T-shirt that we did was a royal blue cotton T-shirt for men.
Okay.
And that we print in white color with a scene of a surfer on a wave. Something that today will not catch any attention, but 30 years ago, the market of fashion was much different than today.
And was it successful? I mean, the whole technical thing. I think you had some problems with glue. Is that possible?
Yeah, well, we got all kind of problems, because we start into a new field without any knowledge and without any supervision. We have to learn by ourselves everything, you know. But those days, printed T-shirts was something that didn't exist in the market, and we start really rolling very quickly. And we saw that the potential can be very big.
Okay. When did you have your first success, especially, I mean, abroad? A lot of Hollywood celebrities started to wear your T-shirts. Which was the first celebrity that decided to wear your T-shirt and made it famous?
Well, I think the biggest success was a kind of opportunity. We sold the first printed T-shirts in Spain during the Spain World Cup of soccer. A lot of tourists came to Spain, and well, we experienced that people like a lot printed T-shirts, and then we saw that, well, was a very big potential behind this project. But the first real success, international success, was when we decided in 1996, 14 years after, to try to enter into the market in USA.
Yes.
We did that because in 1996 the market here in Europe was a little bit slow, and we tried to make it happen in the States. Was not something easy, but we got the opportunity to introduce a couple of our T-shirts. That was 1996. We were only four years behind the new millennium, and we decided to create a new T-shirts for the new millennium, absolutely different than what we did. And we create a concept of fusion of different graphics, different colors and different materials, all in a T-shirt. Was something absolutely different. We went to the States to try to sell this small collection of 17 T-shirts, and well, some of the pieces were catch the attention of a stylist in Hollywood.
Okay.
And well,
and then some popular names.
Yeah, many some celebrities decide to wear them.
Such as?
Yeah.
Such as some famous.
Julia Roberts, for example. well, many TV series very popular in the States, like Friends, Sex and the City, Suddenly Susan, the channel Disney use a lot of our t-shirts, a lot of musical videos, commercials. Well, they catch a lot of attention on our t-shirts.
Mm-hmm. How different is the American market and business, the fashion business in the States? How different is it from here, Barcelona?
Yeah, well, it's very different. In the States, the timing is different. The market is much faster than in Europe. You have to be in top of the new product every day. In Europe, those days was you can little bit relax in between one season and the other. Not anymore. Today is at the same speed than the States. But in the States also, marketing is much more powerful than in Europe. In Europe, still creativity as a important key to be in fashion, and in America, marketing is really important.
Okay, well, it is hard to arrive on top and become popular and successful, but they say it's even harder to stay on top. Yeah. So how do you manage to do that?
Yeah, well, it's very hard. It's very hard. We are now 38 years in this business, and the competition is really strong, because when we start 30 years ago, the market, the industry of fashion was split into many different, let's say, medium small companies, and today the picture is completely different. There are gigantic corporations that they have a very dominating position on the market that has a lot of power on the consumers. You know, the difference is 30 years ago you have a lot of competition, but let's say more or less at the same level.
We could say that you were pioneers, no, when you started.
Well, we were pioneers in this segment of product that was printed t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And now how do you manage to maintain your position?
Well, by creativity, no? You know, today you have to fight with gigantic corporations, and for us the strategy is to try to be very different and very innovative and separate a lot from what they do.
To what extent do you think that luck is important?
Well, I think luck is important, but you have to look for the luck. You have to work for luck. No? When we were in the States, well, I think we were lucky, but we decided to take the luggage, the plane, 17 t-shirts, and go there and start knocking the doors. You know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, anyway, we do consider ourselves lucky to have Custo here. We are learning quite a lot of things about fashion. We'll continue our chat right away, but before, let's have a look at a language tip. Perhaps the most fascinating feature of English language is its plasticity to adapt itself to new trends and create new words. Over the last few years, some new terms have been born, especially related to technology and relationships. And Helen Armstrong from International House Barcelona will teach you a sample of them.
Hi. Why use two words when we can use one? So today we have all these new modern words that are a combination of two words. For example, chillax, which is to chill and to relax. And we say, chillax, guys. So one to describe a strong and independent girl would be girl. So it's a word with no vowels, quite difficult to say. And one for the guys is bromance. Now, bromance is when two guys are the best of friends, do everything together, but it's non-sexual, non-romantic relationship. So another one to do with technology is sexting. So that is when you send or text someone some sexy pictures or messages. Another one with technology is to unfriend, a new verb. To unfriend is when you stop being friends with someone over social networks. And you might unfriend someone if they're always hangry. Now, hangry is when you get angry when you're hungry. which reminds me, I need a snack. Okay, bye.
Today we will ask Custo Dalmau something indiscreet. What? We don't know yet. Stay tuned for our mystery question.
Let's go on talking with Custo Dalmau. To look a bit deeper into his work and origins, today we invited Joan Cama. Joan, welcome.
Hello.
One thing you have in common with Custo is that you're both from Lleida, so tell us about his origins a little bit.
Yeah, I was born in Agramunt, in l'Urgell, and he was born in Tremp, in the Pallars Jussà, but you moved to Barcelona, right, when you
Yes.
were 4, by the age of
5 years
five,
old.
by the age of 5 years old.
Yeah.
And you actually say that you cannot remember much about those days in Tremp. And
No, I remember. I
Do you?
remember. Well, I remember because I learned in Trem going on bicycle, and I remember that I went to a school with sisters, you know, with
Nuns.
nuns.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember this. I have very fresh in my memory.
Okay.
Do you have a place in the Pyrenees where you like to get lost in, where you get inspired somehow?
Well, I like a lot the Pallars, you know, the Pallars, but northern than Trem, because Trem, yeah, for me is the beginning of is the Pre-Pyrenees, and from Trem to the north, well, for me is amazing nature there.
The Vall Fosca part,
Yeah,
maybe?
fantastic.
Let's move on, because I think when you were 9, your mom took you to the gym,
Yes.
and a trainer saw you.
Yeah, it's
Is
true.
that right?
It's true.
And then by the age of 10, you were a champion,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
How come? Because you used to spend up to 6 hours at the gym? Is
Yeah,
that-
it's
is
true.
that
It's
right?
true. Well, when I was 9, because I was a short guy, my mom decided to bring me to the gym, my teacher catch the eye on me and decide to put me in the competition team. And at 10 years old, I became a Catalonian champion of the category of 10 years old people.
And I think you also got an award in all around Spain, champion of Spain as well.
Yeah.
In junior category,
yes,
I
because
think.
the competition, I last in competition until I was 22 years old.
But why
This-
gymnastics?
Well, no, why gymnastics? No, my mom decided me to put in gymnastics because I was a short guy, and she thought, well, I will grow up if I do gymnastics. It's absolutely the opposite. Gymnastics
It's the
don't allow
opposite.
you to grow
I see.
as much. No,
I
well,
see.
I am very short guy. You can see, and and was the opposite effect that my mom looked. You know.
Do you still work out?
Yeah, I try to do exercise for every day when I can. I
But
was,
obviously you had a lot of abilities for this sport.
well, I practice sport in terms of competition since I was 9 to 22 years old, and I train 5-6 hours a day. That was something that create a lifestyle, you know. And today, well, when I have opportunity, I try to do exercise.
Okay, so you became a champion of Spain
Yes.
very quickly, in one
Well,
year maybe?
Very quickly, no. I become a Spanish champion of Catalonia at 10 years old, and at 14 from Spain, at 17 again in different categories.
And how did this sport, or the fact of practicing sport so much, helped you later in your career?
Well, I think it's a lot of help, because in sport, especially when you do competition, you understand that you will succeed only by sacrifice and a lot of discipline, you know. And I think it's something that I really learned, you know. In fashion, fashion is really a competitive field, and I think discipline and sacrifice is very important.
and with discipline and sacrifice, you decided to create t-shirts. Then you also created outfits, then a perfume. And in 2012, you dressed the Catalan football team.
Yeah.
And lately, you even designed a boat.
Yeah, boat. No, boat no. We decorate the boat.
Okay, so you decorated the boat, but
Yeah.
how come? Is that the weirdest thing that you've ever done?
Well, no, but we are basically graphic designers. We don't consider ourselves fashion designers because fashion designers go in a very clear direction, that is to create trends and follow them. You know, we are absolutely in the opposite side. We are trying to be very creative, and we are trying to separate our product from what the trends say. You know. Because we are trying to be different than those gigantic corporations that dominate the market, and the pattern is to be very creative and very innovative. And graphic design was our school, and well, we got the opportunity from different companies to do a co-branding project in order to decorate motorcycles, planes, cellular phones.
Wow.
Well, and what's next?
Well, planes was, we decorate 2 planes for Vueling, you know, for Vueling, and we decorate a ferry that is still today running from Miami to the Bahamas. It's a very big ferry boat, and well, basically is to do our job in a different support, you know.
Mm-hmm. We've talked about you, that you've seen many countries all around the world, and I heard that when you were in Sudan, a seer, many years ago, a seer announced you a great twist in your life by reading you the cards.
How you know that?
I know.
Great.
I mean, I
knows a
read
lot
a
of
lot
things.
about you. Is that
Those
true?
days didn't exist the social media, you know. I don't know. Well, yes. When we was traveling through Africa, that was in 1981. We crossed Africa from Cape Town to Egypt, and we were blocked in Khartoum because we were 3 people traveling, and one of us is a big story. Is a story to do a movie for Netflix. He was detained in south of Sudan because we carry a big equipment for cameras, and those days to carry cameras you need a special permit from the government, and we didn't have it, no? And well, he was detained, and we was waiting for him in Khartoum, and Khartoum is a town in the middle of the desert. That was, I think, in April or May, and it's a very hot weather there. And in the afternoons, well, all the stores close down. Let's say around 2 p.m. because in the afternoon it's impossible to walk on the street because the heat. And we were every day in the house of somebody that got a nice swimming pool to refresh ourselves, and the owner of the house liked to play with the tarot. And well, one day she told us that, well, when we finish the trip, we will do something absolutely different, and that we will run very well, you know.
Did you take it seriously?
Well, this is true. What I'm saying is true. Well, she said that we will jump into an absolutely different thing, and that we will do very well. Yeah. You can trust you can believe whatever you want, you know.
Let's move on. Let's go back to Lleida somehow, because I would like you to take a look at this picture on my background.
Yes.
It's one of your creations. It's one of your dresses.
Yes.
But it's made by a woman from Alguaire, a small town very close to Lleida, whose name is Carme Solà.
Yes.
She recreated one of your dresses back in 2016 only by using paper.
Oh,
This
wow.
dress is made out of paper. And nowadays we can find it in the Paper Dress Museum in Mollerussa. I'm not sure if you knew about this story.
No, I know about the museum, but I want to say that in Lleida probably we did shows, catwalk shows around the world in many countries, and probably the most amazing that we ever did was in Lleida, because they allowed us to do an incredible show in the Seu Bella, that I think is a wonder of the planet. I think if this Seu will be in Italy instead of Lleida, well, will be probably one of the most visited places in Europe, you know. Well, the thing is in Lleida, nobody knows about the place, but the cathedral is amazing, and they give us the cathedral to do a show, and the show was amazing. Came people from around the world, everything was absolutely impressed.
It sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, we are discovering very interesting anecdotes about Custo. We'll take a break now, but we'll be right back in 3 minutes with the mystery question and much more. Stay with us.
So you are a fan of musicals, aren't you? Let's meet at our Guess What quiz to see how many titles you know.
Welcome back to the Weekly Mag. We are chatting about trends with the fashion designer Custo Dalmau. Joan Cama has just brought us some curious facts, and now it's time for our guest to face our mystery question brought by Marc Broderick. Hello, Marc.
How's it going? Here for
Great.
another week of strange and funny questions.
Okay, so ready to tell us how it
Well,
works?
Custo, if you haven't done this before or seen this before, basically in here there are a couple of questions that are kind of tricky and may make you feel slightly uncomfortable. I don't know yet.
Well,
so if you'd
I
like to
never tried before.
stick your hand inside like you're, pulling the lottery numbers out, and grab yourself one of the balls.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Only one?
Only one. And Joan, I'll invite you to do it as well.
One, right?
Do I have to?
Yes, you do. You do. So just open it up, Custo. Have a look inside. Read it out for the audience, and let's see what the man from Tremp can come up with.
Have you ever had a traffic fight? Well, fight, no, but discussion, yes.
An argument?
The argument, yeah.
Were you carrying weapons? Do you carry weapons in your car?
No, never. Never.
What happened?
Well, honestly, I think it's something that happens normally when you drive in a city, you know. That, well, you try to turn to one side and somebody didn't see you. The fault is you don't know exactly from who, and well, you start a little bit argument. But
Was it
That-
here
nothing
or
major,
in
nothing
another
major,
country?
nothing major. No, here in Barcelona.
Are you an angry driver? Do you roll down the window and shout obscenities at people when they cut you off, or are you more relaxed?
Well, depends of the temperature outside. In summer more than in winter.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. You seem like a pretty calm and balanced man.
I am trying.
All right, Mr.
And now
Kama, your
Joan,
turn.
no?
What is another person's trait you can't bear? Egocentrism, maybe? I don't know.
So you're very egocentric.
Yeah, I am.
So that's why you
that's
can't
why
bear.
I don't like egocentric.
You're projecting
Yeah,
it onto the other
that's why.
people. No,
Yeah.
I'm joking. No, it's a good
No,
one.
that's fine.
Fair enough. That's a good
Yeah.
answer. I accept that.
When did you create these questions, Marc? I mean,
Over coffee,
I can see that
coffee
you-
on Monday morning.
very
Irish
inspired.
coffees.
okay.
A couple of Irish
I
coffees
see.
on a Monday morning. That's why some of them, are written. You can see the end of them. It's just like there's a piece of pen going like this. So, no.
Okay.
Can we talk about prizes and awards?
Yeah, of
Because in
course.
2011 you got the International City of Lleida Award.
Yeah.
And you also have this symbolic key of Miami Beach City.
Yeah.
Could you name the most emotional award you've ever got?
Well, the most emotional was they give us in Taormina, in Sicily, was the Oscar of the fashion, and the important thing was because they give us in the let's say in the country of fashion. You know, in Italy they give us the the Oscar of Fashion, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago or 9 years ago, together with other different designers from Italy.
Did you cry during the acceptance speech?
No,
You know,
I
like an
don't think-
Oscar?
No, I was very happy.
Did you thank your mom? You know, usually they say, I thank my mother for this, it was all of her.
The question is, where do you keep it? Where do you keep the award?
Well, in the office. In the
Okay.
office.
Very good.
Okay, well, anyway, before we go, Custo, can you tell us what projects are you working on at the moment?
Well, we are working now for the collection of summer 2020 that we will present the first time in Madrid in the month of July and after in September in New York.
What will it be like?
Well,
You
we
can
are
tell us
trying
a little
always
bit.
to bring color into the wall.
Okay, and what's the novelty this year?
Well, yeah, we try to be very creative and every collection keeping the identity, because for us it's important that consumers and clients recognize the product without reading the name on the label. Keeping the identity, being also very fresh and very innovative.
And what's in fashion this year? I don't know, there are years where we have more stripes or more flowers or balloons or butterflies.
Balloons.
What's,
That was a good one, balloons.
no, balloons is in fashion
Is
this
it?
year.
I
I
must
saw
get
it recently.
Okay, sorry.
We beat a lot on shiny effects, you know, different levels of shine.
Okay, like glittering stuff.
Glittering, yeah.
Silver and golden and...
Yeah.
Okay,
This is
sounds
our
good.
direction.
All right, well,
I
Joan,
love
are you-
sparkling things.
Well, excellent, Custo. I'm afraid we have to conclude the interview here. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you
Good
for
luck
having
with
us.
the new collection.
Thank you.
And Joan, thank you so much for coming. Until
you too.
next time.
Yeah, I
Marc,
hope so.
don't go. I'll see you with Matthew in a bit.
No problem, I might bring some balloons. Allegedly they're in
You have
fashion.
here.
What is trendy today will probably be out of fashion tomorrow, and that is because trends are above all a matter of time. Pay attention to the following language tip by Tim Worry, and you will learn a few of very common English idioms that refer to time.
Hi again. So today we're talking about time. The first expression we're going to look at is it's high time or it's about time. So it's about time or it's high time we studied some expressions. This expression is interesting because we have to use it with the past. Imagine you're at a party, it's getting to like 2 or 3 in the morning, you're a little bit drunk, a little bit tired. You say to your friends, it's high time we left or it's high time we went. Because, for example, in a party, when you're having fun, time flies. Time goes very quickly when you're having a good time. And sometimes we waste time. And if we waste time, we have to make up for lost time. Okay? Sometimes we use this with a friend you haven't seen for a very long time, for example, and you get together, you go out for a drink. You have to make up for lost time. You have to compensate for all the time you haven't been together by having a really good time in that moment. Also, as a teacher, and also when I was a student, when we do our homework, sometimes we do our homework at the 11th hour. And the 11th hour means at the last minute, maybe on the bus on the way to class, for example. This isn't very good, because it's important for us to keep to a routine, especially when we're studying. Because in the long run, if we keep to a routine, we're going to see benefits. In the long run just means over a long period of time. So if you study a little bit of English every day, in the long run, you will see your level improve. Because time makes us wise. The older you are, the wiser you are. For example, if someone tries to trick you, you can say to them, hey, I wasn't born yesterday. I'm not a baby, okay? I'm wise, I'm older. This is especially true, I use this one with my students if they try and cheat in the exam, for example. Hey, I wasn't born yesterday. But that's all we've got time for today. So I think it's time that we called it a day. So to call it a day is to finish work and go home. So that's all our expressions. Thanks a lot for listening.
Today we invite you to travel to Central Africa. Don't miss our visit to Cameroon with our last speaker section.
Welcome back to the Weekly Mac. Time for the Guess What, so let's welcome our favorite quiz contestants, Marius Serra and Patricia Scalona. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
And of
Hi.
course, our fantastic quiz master who gives it all each time, Sergio Cervera. Welcome.
Hi, Marcella. Glad to
Hi.
be back. All right, so last week we witnessed an unexpectedly even quiz show on the topic of wars. Marius finally got the upper hand and he got the last question right. And today we're testing you about, oh, by the way, what do you know about microbiology?
A micro thing. It's a very tiny thing about
tiny
biology.
bit.
Yeah.
And how about you?
Quite a few things, actually. My nephew studied it.
Impressive.
So he tells me about it.
That's absolutely wonderful, cool, because that's exactly why we dedicate today's quiz show to musicals.
Okay.
And we will start with a special multiple choice challenge. But you will need to hone your listening skills and first listen to this tune.
Da 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 da.
And what this girl singing so passionately belongs to one of her favorite musicals. Which one is that one? A, Oliver, B, Annie, and C, Cats. All right. I feel like you guys.
It's.
I have the feeling that you guys want to listen to it again.
I'm
Yeah.
fine, I know it.
Really? Because I'm gonna play it anyway, because I love it.
Da 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 da.
All right, so again, A, Oliver, B, Annie, and C, Cats. What's your pick?
B.
B.
Annie.
Annie. And Marius?
B.
B, Annie. So let the girl give you the answer.
I love Annie, that musical.
There's a pity that she can sing it.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. Impressive and terrific job. Okay, so Annie was the answer. 1 point to Patricia, 1 point to Marius.
Anyway, lots of people either hate or love musicals. To which group do you belong?
I neither one nor the other, actually. I love some musicals and I hate some other musicals.
It depends.
Come
It
on.
depends. Yeah.
I tend to avoid them, but some of them, if they are with rock music, maybe I love more.
Okay, I see what you mean.
All right, so
Okay,
guys,
second?
absolutely, I'm gonna make you an offer you could not reject. Okay, here it goes, the second question. You might want to listen the following tune even more closely. So here you are.
Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na na.
Any ideas? It was easier, right?
From ta to na.
To na, exactly.
Ta to na na.
Yeah, obvious. I know
Quite
it's obvious, but
impressive.
I have to make the question anyway. I have to ask the question anyway. So here are the options, and it's one of these three options. A, The Phantom of the Opera. B, La La Land. And C, Mamma Mia.
Can we rehear it?
I'm afraid.
Lyrics are very interesting.
Na 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 na.
What the
All
hell?
right, so
Why is she killing it so
amazing,
badly?
right? What's your pick? The Phantom of the Opera, La La Land, or Mamma Mia?
This is gonna be just like sheer luck in this case, because
No, that's not correct. It's absolutely obvious.
yeah, right.
Well, mama is not because she
Mamma
says
mia.
nana. She
Ah,
says
no,
nana.
no. It's
It would be
la-
Mamma Mia.
It's not
That's
so.
correct.
She said nana.
Nana.
I would say A.
A, Phantom of the Opera.
La La Land.
La La Land. Okay, let's see what the right answer is, and she's gonna say it for us.
I like La La Land. One of the piano scenes that really sticks in my head.
I have to say that La La Land is one of my favorite musicals, but...
A nice one.
So corny.
Oh, come on.
It is so corny.
It was 1 point for you, but I'm just this close to removing. I cannot do that, of course. 2 for Patricia, 1 for Marius. All right, guys, so you can warm up your hands, wrists, and arms, because you're gonna need your bells right now. And in this second challenge, I will start to give you the title of popular musicals, but for the last word, and you will have to finish them. First, ring your bell to answer, and then get the chance to give the right answer. So let's start.
Okay.
Number 1, Mulan, Marius.
I don't know.
Oh, come on. Patricia. Rouge. Of course, Moulin Rouge. Point to Patricia. 2, Sweeney.
What was that?
Sweeney. 2, Sweeney. Sweeney. Patricia, Todd.
Sweeney
You
Todd.
have to pay attention.
Yeah,
2 points for Patricia.
Okay.
3, hello. Patricia?
Dolly.
She's kicking you a little bit. Come on. All right, let's, number 4, blood.
Blood?
Blood. 5, 4,
Family?
3,
Family, this is a hint, a clue.
2.
Line?
No, incorrect. Blood Brothers.
No idea
Blood
that one.
Brothers.
Get ready,
Blood
guys.
Brothers, yeah.
Because here we go. Number 5.
late.
Jesus Christ. Mario.
Superstar.
Thank you. Jesus Christ Superstar. Absolutely. 6. A chorus.
Say that again?
A chorus. Patricia.
Line.
Correct. Point to Patricia. That was close. Marius. Number 7. West Side. Marius. Story. Absolutely. 8. Mary. Marius.
Christmas.
No. Patricia.
And Happy New Year.
No. 1 second. Not Mary. Not Mary.
Not Mary.
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 No, sorry.
John.
No, it's the other way around.
Time's up, Patricia. You have to answer.
No.
No?
It's not Mary. It's not
Mary.
Mary. It's Mary.
Mary. Mary.
Mary?
Mary. Okay, second chance. Mary.
idea.
No idea. Mary Poppins.
Oh my God.
Number 9. The sound of Patricia.
Music.
Correct. Music. Number 10. Mama. Marius. Mia. Correct. 11. My fur.
Late.
Go ahead, you said it.
Lady. That's correct. Lady. That was just right at the
Fair
same
lady.
moment. And number 12. Men of La. Patricia?
Manta.
Absolutely.
Manta.
Right. Excellent.
Wow, that was fast.
That was really fast.
Okay,
Marius,
so
5
the score,
points.
Exactly.
Exactly. Marius, 5 points, and Patricia, 8 points.
We have to work on that Merry pronunciation. Really, we do. Because we Merry Christmas. What the hell?
That was a good one.
That's great.
But
Well,
despite
so,
the fact of my horrible pronunciation, she gave the right pronunciation, and still so, you couldn't get the right answer.
So if you
I'm
had
defending
to choose,
Marcello.
if you had to be the protagonist of one of these musicals, which one would you choose?
Whoa.
My God. The Phantom. The Phantom of
Absolutely.
the Opera.
Yes.
I will be the
Opera.
Phantom.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
She said one of those musicals, the ones that we just played. It's like you just came up with
Don't mock
another one.
Marius. Stop mocking him.
I'm not
Well,
picking
Merry
on music.
Christmas as well.
What's
Would be
your-
a
Merry
very nice musical.
What would be yours?
My Fair Lady, probably.
My Fair Lady. Okay. All right. Okay,
Excellent.
guys.
So we still keep the bells, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't push your ring bells aside yet, because you are going to use them again for a second round. And this time, Marcello is going to read out a definition of an idiom related to music. And I am going to read the example sentence, which you have to finish. Ready?
An idiom related to music and to Sergi, because they are all about you. First
My
one.
ego is really happy right now.
First one. Sergi never likes to brag about his achievements.
I never blow my own. Marius?
Trumpet.
Correct.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Sergi is talented, handsome, and smart.
And all that? Marius?
Jazz.
Absolutely. Thanks, Marcello, by the way.
Sergi doesn't read the script anymore.
That's true, because I just act by Patricia.
What?
No?
By here.
Correct,
Here.
Marius. Job well
Here.
done. Absolutely.
Okay, and number 4, Sergi's performance in Gone with the Wind last week really impressed us so much.
I know. Absolutely. I really struck a Marius.
That's a chord.
Correct.
Struck a
You were
chord.
too late.
Yeah.
Okay, Marius, Patricia, I love it when you get the answers right.
Yeah, I love it too because it's like music to my Patricia.
Ears.
Ears, absolutely.
That's it.
Okay,
Double
so
done.
that was the last one, and the score is?
Incredible. Even Marius 9, Patricia 9 as well.
So let me ask you now, what is music to your ears?
What is music to my ears?
What is music to your ears?
Apart from us talking.
Yeah,
Right.
well, it's a very important thing, but I don't know, music would
Music
be.
is music to
Literally.
your
For my
ears.
ears.
Makes sense.
But not musicals. Music just
Right,
in
okay.
another way.
Same thing. Music to my ears is actually music because it's basic and it's so important to me in my life, so?
Well, I expected you being more original than just saying what
It's a
Marius
good
said.
answer. It's a good
Okay,
answer.
I grant you with that. We get along very
No,
well.
we don't.
So now, please, I'm just presenting my
Oh, this is
next
gonna end
challenge.
badly. This is gonna end so
So
bad.
now for our last question, one last and only round of the challenge of clues. How many points is this challenge? Well, I have to come up with a new rule. So please, I need some space. Okay.
Really?
So,
Anytime,
absolutely.
a new rule.
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
he's getting imaginative. Oh my God.
Exactly.
What strategy
What's
was
that?
done this time?
Okay, so hold on, because here it comes, the surprise. You guys are ready?
And
No.
it's for me?
It's a present for you. So, da-da!
Oh my God.
Wow, Sergi.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's nice, right?
Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to use it at least one
From
time.
1 to 90?
Exactly. So, Marcella, can you please take one ball and keep it? Because whoever gets this challenge right will get as many points as the number on the ball.
Well, if you say so, you're the quiz master. Let me see if I can
Yeah, I don't
do
know how
this
that
right.
happened, but
No, me either. Why in the world did we get a mad quizmaster?
it's
Okay,
irony.
let's see.
Okay.
So, I
you
keep it?
You keep it, and
All
that's
right.
going to
You
be
saw, right?
today's
Excellent.
surprise. She saw.
He
Alright.
saw too.
Okay,
It's your
guys.
age.
So now we are looking for the title of a famous musical.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
So this musical is based on a novel. Both the musical and the novel it is based on were not written originally in English. The main character is loosely based.
Marius?
In French, Victor Hugo, Les Misérables.
Yes.
Correct.
Well done.
That was
Excellent.
absolutely impressive.
That was amazing,
Well,
yeah.
actually.
But it's,
Yeah, it's right.
Well,
the right
I was,
answer.
in fact, in my
So-
neighborhood, they have just done it as a theater musical by people, young people. Les Misérables.
We are impressed. So let's see the clues for our audience to know
Actually,
what was.
this is the world's longest running musical to date. Both the novel and the stage musical have been made into a film many times. The story takes place in France, and its main character, as you know, is called Jean Valjean. And it was written by Victor Hugo.
Yeah, absolutely. Marius was totally right. It's Les Miserables, based on the eponymous book by Victor Hugo, as he had said. One of the 19th century greatest novel, Les Miserables, is the world's longest running musical to date.
Nice.
So that's worth how many points?
How many points?
How many points? Let's see and let's show what luck has
well,
decided.
That's a 30.
Oh,
30 points.
It's your
Points to
age.
Marius,
So kind, but no.
which just makes me a little bit happy today because that means that Patricia just lost.
Oh my God.
Oh, Sergi.
No, because she's
That's
been mocking.
unkind.
She's mocking the quizmaster, and that.
We're gonna have words, you and I.
Yeah,
just,
absolutely.
just right after
Absolutely.
this.
Well, that's fair. You
So we've
played.
got 9 points for Patricia, 39 points for Marius. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And now it's time to guess the weekly puzzle by Marius Serra. It's called the guess word, and to start with, Marius, let's remember the last clue for last week's enigma.
Yeah, last week it was about an insect, and I told this insect is more beautiful on butter. It was only 3 letters, which are some insects. 3-letter words like bee, ant,
But no
which
one is related to butter.
And which one is related to butter?
Fly?
A fly.
That's it.
Well
because
done.
if you put the fly on butter, you
Then you
got
get
a very
a beautiful butterfly.
butterfly.
Today we're
was-
connected.
That was the clue. Okay.
That was a good one. And for
Yeah.
today, Marius?
Well-
is it also related to animals?
No, it's about nature, but no animals this time.
Okay.
It's the fruit of a lover's eyes. 5 letters. The fruit of a lover's eyes. 5 letters.
A 5-letter word, the fruit of a lover's eyes. Well, I hope you crack it. Be the first to post the word on our profile on social networks, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Patricia and Marius, congratulations, and until next week. Sergio, see
bye.
you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, we'll take a break and we'll be back in 3 minutes. We'll visit Cameroon and meet the band, The Lazy Lie, so stay tuned. Welcome back. Many define them as a tiny jewel, a little treasure, and compare them with the Beatles, the Kings, or Belle and Sebastian. They are a band from Barcelona who define themselves as indie pop reminiscent of the 60s. They are The Lazy Lies, and this is their second album, Let's Talk, More Action. Well, Montse, Roger, welcome in the first place. Nice name, Let's Talk, More Action. Can you explain?
Yes, I think there's a need now to for the people to express themselves, not only verbally but also with their actions. For instance, now in this country, there are a lot of things going on that we don't like, and then what do we do about it? We post on Facebook and we tweet, but then we don't do any more actions. So it's the title is a little bit like this, like, encouraging people to take more actions.
Not just talk, I mean, which is good, talking
which is
and
good.
debating, but
good.
it's also important
But
to
not too
actually
much.
do stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's a good name and a good attitude towards life in general. Well, Montse, you're a musician, obviously. You are part of the band, but you're also an actor.
Yes.
Here in Barcelona. So tell us what came first, music or acting?
First of all, acting. And then I always thought that being in a band was great. So then
Very cool, no?
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
And then I met Roger while I was working as an actress in a video clip. And years later, I thought maybe we can start a band together. So.
Okay, so it was the first, at first the two of you, and then you you were joined by the other members of the band. I think you are 5 in total.
Yes. At the beginning, I said no to her proposal.
Really?
Because I didn't want to start another band. I've had some bands before, and I know it's tough work. But then she convinced me with the keyword 60s.
And lots of beers.
And boy-girl singing, you know, like 2 voices. I thought, that's cool. We can do that. And then when we did like 3 or 4 songs, and I showed them to Xavi and Dani, who used to play with me in the previous band, where she did a video for us. And then it all started easily. It was really smooth after that.
So tell me about this love of yours for the 60s.
Well, yeah, it's
Where
a
does
love.
it come from?
Maybe from my dad. I don't know. From
your dad?
Yes, from being always listening to music at home from the 60s and also the look and the clothes, and I don't know. I really like this time.
Okay. Well, anyway, so you started the band. This is your second album.
Yes.
All right. And I have to say that you got excellent critic reviews. You even in the States, where you've never been actually, you've never performed in the States, but you had excellent reviews from both of your albums there, and one critic even said that it sounds like the best album that the Beatles have never done. So, what do you think of that?
Well, we're really,
that's not bad, no, actually.
First of all, we're really grateful for this. Second, we don't get it. I mean, how did we get to the States where we didn't have any kind of promotion going on? It's probably internet, things like that, you know, word of mouth. But, well, what can we say? We're really flattered. And the thing, if we can take a not so positive view of it, is why isn't happening here? You know, why are we getting those reviews in the United States from people that don't know us personally and have never heard of us more than what they got through the internet? And then
So
here
you're more
it's so
popular in the
difficult.
States than here in Catalonia?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I don't know. We haven't been there. But if you bear in mind, you know, the best album of the year lists, I think we're more or less equal. We're in 2-3 lists in the States and maybe 3 and 4 here. So
Do you think it's got to do with the fact that you guys sing in English?
probably, yes. Here it's very difficult to nowadays to get some coverage in English when you sing in English. While, of course, in the States, it's the language. However, they have so many good bands in there, and the country is really big that it's still weird, you know, for us getting there. So I still don't get it. Still working on it.
But it's good news. It's
Of
good
course.
news.
Really good news.
So why have you guys decided to have your lyrics in English?
Because it felt the right way. We couldn't do it any other way with this band. You know, it's kind of a, I wouldn't say a tribute, but it's something reminiscent of the bands that we really liked from that period. And these are, you know, the Kings, the Beatles, the Zombies, the Who. They all sing in English, so it felt unnatural for us to sing in Catalan or in Spanish.
And when you hear or see that people place you on the same level or next to big names like the Beatles or the Beach Boys or the Kings, how do you feel about it?
Weird. I don't know. It's weird, really weird, but it's also good news, and we are happy for that. Even though.
Well, it's something that we never tried to, of course, you know, get in the same level as them. Because for us, they are really top.
If you had to describe your style in a few words, what would you say? What is your music like?
Well, we could go with a quote that you read, the indie reminiscent of the 60s, and it took us like 2 months to get that line. It's difficult to tag your own music.
Of course.
From inside, from outside, you know, people tag music easily and bands, but
Yeah,
for
but
us,
I think it's music that makes you happier.
Okay, music that makes you happier. That's a nice definition. What is the album about?
well, there are many different topics, but you can say from a little bit of love, a little bit, not like in the 60s, a little bit of art. I don't know, I should go now song by song to realize, but there's a lot of double senses and puns and a little bit of playing with the lyrics.
Okay.
I'm not saying sometimes, or she's not saying sometimes, clearly what we mean. You know, it's like a double sense sometimes.
Montse, what's your role in the band? And the fact that you're also an actor, how does it reflect in the band?
Well, for me, it's like making not a character, but I'm just playing and having this complicity with Roger, and I don't know, I feel like a child playing. For me, it's just that.
You are both vocalists.
Yes.
Yes.
We are used to bands usually having one person singing. So what does it mean for the band to being associated not with one person, but with two, in this case?
Well, I think it means that you won't get tired of one voice, first of all. If sometimes you listen to albums and there's the same guy or girl singing all over the album, then in the end, maybe you get tired of it. In this case, that shouldn't happen. If it happens, that means we're really bad. I hope not. And personally, I appreciate the fact that she's singing lead vocals too, because I get a rest. Sometimes, you know, when you're in a concert and you're singing and singing and singing, in the end, maybe you're a little bit tired.
So it's also for practical reasons, no? It helps.
Well, it helps. It's
But
the
also
second reason, not the first.
our voices together, I think that are better.
It's a nice match,
Yes,
no?
it's a nice match.
That was a surprise, actually.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, we didn't expect it. We said, okay, let's sing. And in the beginning, the songs were like, you sing, and then I sing. And I don't remember what song it was that we did a harmony. It was like, well, they blend together. And I don't know, I didn't expect that because our voices are quite different. But no, they seem to fit.
Well, I guess we'll discover that in a moment because you're going to sing for us today. What are you going to sing?
Yeah, I think we should do it more often. Like this double vocal.
What song are you going to sing today?
Primrose Hill.
Okay, and what's it about?
It's about a hill in London. It's called Primrose Hill. And it's a place where you can, you know, if you're in Camden Town or other places close, you can disconnect from everything. It's like getting into an oasis in the middle of the city, and you have excellent views over London, generally, most part of it, and a huge park and the hill with a gentle slope. So it's a place where I've been sometimes maybe 3 or 4, and I really like it. And I don't know why I wrote about it. I don't know, but I think
Just
it's kind
followed
of
your heart.
nice. Yeah, it's a nice place. So I recommend everyone to, if you go to London, visit Primrose Hill.
Excellent.
I've never been there.
You've never been?
No.
Okay, you have to
And
take her.
we should go there. We should go play in London, and then we go to Primrose Hill.
All right, Rosanne, once again, thank you so much for coming today, and good luck with all your projects.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. It's been a pleasure.
While the Lazy Lies get ready on stage, let's discover another English-speaking country. This is our last e-speakers, a section we have been doing for 2 seasons and which has allowed us to visit English-speaking countries from around the world. You can find them all online on our website. We would like to thank everyone who has participated in this project, and today we finish our travels with Cameroon, a country that is often referred to as Africa in miniature for its geological and cultural diversity. And now we are about to discover it hand in hand with Dominique Bis-Toby.
Hello, my name is Dominic. I am mixed from Spain and Cameroon, but I was raised most of my life in Cameroon and I lived there for around 13 to 14 years. Cameroon, basically, they call it like mini Africa because it's right in that zone where we have basically all the major climates in Africa. In the north is desert, in the kind of like still the north but not so north it's already savanna, and then in the south it's rainforest. So it's a very varied country, and there's a lot of cultures. There's over 250 different traditional languages, so it's just a very I would say multicultural country within itself. It's very beautiful. There are several places. I would say, of course, the capital city, Yaoundé, and Douala. Those are like the 2 largest ones. Because a lot of times when people go to like African countries, for instance, they feel like, oh, they have to go to the safaris or they want to just see nature. But I think that it's really important to see what life is like for the average person. So definitely visiting one of the big cities. But also, I think it would be great to be able to go to some of the smaller towns and smaller villages. Like there is a beach city called Kribi. That is a very nice place as well, just to to see like the beach and the sea. There's also some very nice geographical locations there. There's some really cool waterfalls, and yeah, I would say those are some of the nice places that you could visit. Something that comes to mind is the first president that Cameroon had after its independence, which is Amadou Ahidjo. And I think that being able to unify the country in the beginning of the independence, because, I mean, like I told you before, Cameroon is a very multicultural country. And from the north of the country to the south, it's very different culturally. People in the north are desert people. People in the south are like rainforest people. They don't speak the same languages. They don't understand each other. They just live their lives in such a different way that just being able to unite all these different tribes and you know, be able to like create a functioning country out of so many different pieces, I feel like that is what can really, like, you have to give props to that, because that is not an easy thing to do. It's so crazy because I love Cameroonian food, so I don't have like one favorite dish, but since we have to choose, there is one that is called Ero. It's actually Nigerian/Cameroonian. I don't know if you know what is called fufu, but it's like a paste that you cook in hot water, then it becomes like a paste, and then you eat the vegetables, and then you cook that with red palm oil. Not the refined one, but like the one that still has the actual reddish color. And then with some meat, and then you just mix the vegetables and eat it with the fufu. That's one of my all-time favorite dishes. Okay, this is not just a Cameroonian thing, but like when people get married, right, the family of the groom has to like give offerings to the family of the bride, and it's usually like things like animals, like, you know, pigs, goats, chickens, and then also like maybe like a bag of rice. You know, it's called like a dowry. That's, I mean, compared to like Western culture, that's pretty different.
It's just another morning leaving home, going on the ground, staring into the crowd. It's just another day in the skies, seeing the same guys with those sleepy eyes. But tomorrow, if it's raining, take me against my will to the quiet, gentle slopes of Primrose Hill. And tomorrow, if the sun shines, I won't be home standing still. You will find me lying on the grass in Primrose Hill.
It's just another evening in the sun, walking in the park until it gets dark. Those skyscrapers look so far away, and in the distance they seem no giants.
And tomorrow, if it's raining, take me against my will to the quiet, gentle slopes of Primrose Hill. And tomorrow, if the sun shines, I won't be home standing still. You will find me lying on the grass in Primrose Hill. Primrose Hill. Primrose Hill. Primrose Hill.
On today's episode, we visit La Teuleria, a typical Catalan masia where Toby has found his home. Prepare for a trip to the countryside.
Welcome back. And let's continue the program with a visit to La Teuleria, which is an old masia near Vic, now home to Toby Harper, who is an English actor now living in Catalonia for over 30 years. Although the house is quite old and requires a lot of work, Toby has found here this place on Earth. And if you want to know why, you'll have to check out the following video.
This is the Teuleria, La Teuleria. My name is Toby Harper. I'm an actor and I've been living here for the last 4 years, although in Catalonia for the last 30. This house, for me, is wonderful. It's a little paradise, very close to Vic. You can walk into Vic in 10 minutes. But you're in the middle of the most beautiful countryside, and that makes this place very, very special. Apart from that, Vic also has a lot of culture, and I have the great advantage of not being from here. Speaking with people who do live in Vic, they do feel slightly constrained by the way that they are perceived by others and the things that they ought to be doing, how they ought to dress, what they ought to do. But when you're just the strange giddy, you can really do whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. The house is La Teuleria, which comes obviously from teula, or tile, roof tiles, and that apparently is what they used to make here. The field that we have right next to us is so much lower than ours, and it has two big sort of lumps with electric poles coming out of the top of them, which are still at the same height as my garden, but all the rest was dug out, which is presumably, I think, was where they got the clay from to make the tiles. When we came here, it was a total wreck. It wasn't. There were an awful lot of wonderful things about the house, but there was an awful lot to do as well. So I think many people would have looked at it and just thought, oh my God, no, I'm not going to do that. But we looked at it and thought, yeah, I'll do that. All of the bottom part of the house was basically, well, I'm going to say wattle and daub. So it's sort of compacted clay walls, but obviously those need to be rendered. So we did a lot of rendering down here. We made a sitting room. We put in a kitchen. Before there was sort of nothing and just a fireplace on the ground. So we built a raised fireplace. So we've done all of those sorts of things, and reclaiming this garden has been a huge task because it was totally overrun. So although everybody, I'm sure, or an awful lot of people would like to live this sort of life, although you have to work quite hard, you know, there's always things to do, which is great. I have a son, and my partner has 2 daughters. So sometimes you just need your own quiet space. So possibly one of my favorite spaces, although it's probably not the most attractive space of the entire house, is my little studio, where obviously I do lots of work myself, but sometimes I just go there to escape and pull the door shut and leave everything outside. You asked me to tell you one of the places that I really loved about where I live, and it's a Roman bridge, literally 5 minutes away from here, that goes over the river. This is the Gurri. In fact, it's got turtles and you get lovely birds around here. And so I go over the bridge and then through the fields, and it's just lovely to watch the metamorphosis going on around me in the countryside.
What is the best way to give advice? Well, if I were you, I would grab a piece of paper and a pen and watch the following video closely because it includes a very interesting language tip with Tim Guinea. Take it from me.
Today we've been talking about advice, and you should never ever use the imperative when you give advice in English. But what you can do is use modals. So modals like you should or you could. So you should come with us to the party. Another one that we can use when we want to give advice is you had better, or when I speak quickly, I'd say you'd better. And this usually is when you have negative consequences. So if I want to tell my students, you'd better study or you're going to fail the exam. Another way that we can give advice in a less intrusive way is saying, well, why don't you? So why don't you study for the exam? Or why don't you cook dinner tonight? You can give advice from your own personal point of view and say, take it from me. So take it from me, you should study. It's a difficult exam. Another way that we can use advice is using conditionals. So you put that person in your place and you can say things like, if I were you, I would study. Or if you said, if you want my advice, I will study. And of course, one way we can always give advice is saying, I suggest or I recommend. So you recommend to do things and you suggest doing things. So they use a different verb pattern after them. And finally, we can say you might want to. So you might want to watch this video again and use advice when you're speaking English next time. And I'll see you.
Off our episode of the Weekly Bang dedicated to trends, let's have a casual chat about tendencies and fashions of all kinds with our two collaborators that never go out of style. Marc Broderick and Matthew Tree, of course.
Thank you for saying that. That was such a nice thing to say.
That's true. Anyway.
Matthew's a bit of a trendsetter, you might say, no? With his combination of wonderfully coloured socks and his choice of T-shirts every programme is always bang on. So yeah, he's always up to date, as they say.
I'm going red under the makeup.
He has his very original style. Anyway, any trends you've been victims of either in England or in Ireland?
Do you want to start? Because I'm sure yours starts back in the 50s, right? Or 60s?
70s, Mark.
70s, sorry, 70s.
When I was in my teens, right? No, the 70s I remember very well because as a teenager you almost feel obliged to follow fashion. So there was platform shoes, if anybody remembers those.
Oh, yeah.
Which rock stars used to wear like that, and sort of other people, Kiss, for example, Elton John, etc.
Yeah.
I especially remember, apart from the flared trousers and the tight crotches for men, that was a typical thing. You can still see it in 70s films. They wear jeans where, you know, that leave nothing to the imagination.
I'm sure they packed a sock in there as well, just to you know, go about, you know, show off a little bit more.
Well, there were rumours David Bowie always used a banana. Seriously, that's what we used to talk about. Us teenagers.
Okay, anyway, I think
I'm sure it wasn't a Canarian one, it was
the
actually
one I really remember, because it was so crazy, was mainly teenage girls used it. They used to go around with little bouncing antennas, which they would clip onto their heads.
Really?
Yeah,
and you would say this was quite normal in London. Everyone would be going around with these antennae, and you know, it just looked so silly. It was just so daft, you know. And then the music, I remember, was either really good, like Led Zeppelin, or incredibly boring, like Yes. There was a group called Yes, which...
I've never heard of them. Probably better off I haven't heard of them.
No, unless you want to go to sleep very quickly and just put on something by Yes. And people started smoking American cigarettes for the first time.
Really?
That was when people really started smoking Winston, Marlboro, and all these.
They had massive advertising, the Marlboro Man, you know, it looked cool, the man and the cowboy and all that.
Exactly.
Even I wanted to smoke. Well, I wasn't born then.
I don't know if it's the same in Ireland, but it was around, but of course you wouldn't remember. But skateboarding came in around about the mid-70s. Everyone thinks it's been around forever, but it's skateboarding.
Skateboarding, yeah. It's making a big comeback now, yeah.
Yeah, and that started in the mid-70s. But then punk livened things up, and I especially remember the 80s because I was older and having more fun. And like lots of people had super glued hair, would walk around with pet rats on their shoulders, or they would go around with their partners attached by a dog lead. That was quite common. And of course, they always had torn trousers and shirts, but they tore them. You know, I mean, now they buy them ready torn, but back then they actually ripped them up themselves.
Did you have spiked hair?
No. We'll get on to hair later, I think. You asked questions about it. And I remember pogoing, which was dancing by jumping up and down and trying to shove yourself next to the next person as hard as possible. So you'd
Is that
get...
not like moshing? Is it different? Like the mosh pit, where they go like this and they jump up and down? Like no, it's different.
It's slightly different.
Slightly different.
It's slightly different.
Okay.
But it's, I mean, if we had the music, we could do an impersonation of it, all three of us.
Yeah,
But
not me.
No.
I prefer
Don't
not
worry,
to.
we will not obligate you to do anything, Marcella.
It was
Don't
great
worry.
fun. And then the 90s, I completely missed out on. You know,
Don't worry, that's where I come in.
There you go.
I took over
Okay,
right around the
90s.
90s is when I hit my stride, as he did in the 70s. Fashion-wise, we had X-Works. Do you remember these? They were these huge, massive pants that were black, and they had like X-Works written on the back. I think it was around the time that like Milli Vanilli and Vanilla
God.
Ice and
Oh,
MC
God, Milli
Hammer and
Vanilli.
all of these were coming into fashion. You know, like the Dutch ones.
Ice Baby.
Ice Baby and all this, like, and then we used to actually buy jeans, and we didn't actually cut holes in them. We used to cut holes up along the side of them so that they would cover your shoes. So instead, I think it was the beginning of the next phase of going on to the 70s flares, which is what we used
Sort
as
of
well.
grunge thing.
Also, we
Yeah.
had the Walkmans. Which everybody had the Walkmans
yeah.
with the little orange fluffy things, no? Like they had their Walkmans attached, and they had these terrible headphones, and you could hear them. Like it was actually, I think that's why I'm a little bit deaf from those Walkmans with the tapes in them. And you had all the time when the music came out in compilation cassettes, and then the age of the CD then came after that. I think my first CD was TLC. You remember that all-girl group? Was not one of my finer moments.
No, I know why I missed this 90s.
Yeah. The music was more than R&B was coming into stride. Then we had a lot of indie. We had the whole Oasis Blur thing that became really trendy then to say whether you were with Oasis or with Blur and stuff like that. And as regards like the skateboarding thing in the 80s.
What about the piercings and tattoos?
Piercings was one. I actually got a piercing back in the 90s, and it was terrible. I think it lasted about a week.
Well, we won't ask where.
It was no, it was here. It was one that went from here and all the way through to the other side and out. And I thought it was shit cool. Excuse my language. And as soon as my mother saw it, she goes, "That's not staying there." and the fight lasted about 3 days until eventually I gave in because my ear started to swell because I wasn't taking good care of it. So I was like, I think she's right.
Okay.
It's funny you mentioned that about the piercings, because they started in the 80s, but in a very timid way, and it was always a nose piercing. It was in the 90s. People got piercings everywhere.
Okay, I see you. When did you get yours, as a matter of interest?
80s.
In the 80s?
80s,
You've
yeah.
managed to hold on to it since the 80s.
Well, not the
Now
same earring, Mark, but, you know. In fact, I used to
I think
have
you're stuck
two.
in time, Matthew.
Yeah, well.
You used to have two.
Yeah, I used to have two.
Okay, Mark, anyway, where have you been this week?
This week we went to Hospitalet and we went to this amazing barbecue festival called What the Foc, which I loved. Foc is in fire in Catalan, but of course you know me.
I think the pronunciation would be foc.
As foc. Well, you know, foc, whatever it is. The pronunciation doesn't matter. So we went to see different barbecues, and of course, as usual, things may have got out of hand at a certain cage, or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how useful these videos are anymore. I'm beginning to doubt my own usefulness to this. But anyways, have a look and see.
It sounds promising.
Okay, from Pokemon Go to the Harlem Shake, trends are everywhere. What the fuck? Fuck is in fire. Let's see if we can find some trendy people. Is there anything that you've ever worn or anything that you've ever done that you followed a trend and you said, shit, that was terrible? Like skinny jeans, or I don't know, this shirt, for example.
No, I think it's normal. This is my normal form of to dress me.
What kind of fashion trend are you ashamed of, apart from the fact that you've got holes in your pants?
I'm not ashamed of that. I think they are cool, actually.
You know the campana trousers?
That they wear like big leg, and now we are with skinnies. And it's like, oh, what the fuck? I shouldn't have worn these.
When I was a younger man, I followed all of the trends, and I remember having a pair of high-waisted flares that came up to about here with 3 buttons down there that you couldn't see your shoes. So they were good good things.
Like the Saturday night fever.
Absolutely, absolutely. It had to be done.
I had this kind of hairstyle, like like that, with hiding your eyes on both sides.
Like emo, no? Like,
yeah, a bit that way.
You had dreadlocks.
Before, now no.
Why not? What happened? Why did you decide to change?
I don't know, because I want to change a little bit. More clean, more easy.
More respectable.
Yeah.
He wanted to find a job in Barcelona in a nice restaurant, so.
In order to find the job, he had to get rid of the dreadlocks.
Well, Marc, have you ever had this problem, this hair problem? Did you have to have your hair cut for professional reasons, maybe?
I had a couple of train wreck haircuts back in the day. I mean, I've dyed my hair blonde, I've dyed it green, I've dyed it red. I even went through a stage actually where I bleached it so much it burned my head and I had to get it all shaved off and put cream on it for like 2 weeks. And at the same time I was on crutches because I had twisted my ankle. So unfortunately I looked like a patient from the hospital for about 2 weeks. But you know what surprised me the most? No, it's actually true. It's actually true. Yes. I was like this and I was bald and I had these blisters because I'd put too much ammonia on my head. But when I came to Spain in 2002, something about, just speaking about hairstyles and the trends back then, I was in La Rioja. And the one thing that shocked me there is that everybody had this bloody mullet. And I was like, the mullet was from Ireland in the 1980s. You know, the hair cut back like this and short at the top.
Okay, yeah.
And everybody had it here. And I was shocked, like, I thought it was hilarious. And I used to make fun of them. And they had these rastas, these dreadlocks. Well, just one of them, just one coming down along the side. And that for me, like a shocking trend of like the Spanish haircuts or whatever you want to call them, the Basque. I think it was more the Basques at that time. Because every time I went to Bilbao, they were like that. So, yeah.
What about yourself, Matthew? Any amazing hairstyles?
No, amazing, no. But when I was unemployed for the last 3.5 years in London with a whole group of other people who were also unemployed, so if you're getting your state security thing, social security thing of about £12.50 a week, you don't have money to go to a barber shop. So what we used to do was cut our own hair. And for 3.5 years, I cut my own hair, and it looked absolutely ridiculous. And it wasn't until I moved to Barcelona, started earning some money, that I actually went to a barber shop for the first time in 3.5 years, you know. But we sort of all thought it was okay cutting our own hair because we were all doing it, you know. But like looked at objectively, when you moved into parts of London where people actually went to hairdressers, it didn't look so great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, any embarrassing trends you followed at
Back
stage
in the day,
of your life?
Going to mass every Sunday, if you would call that a trend, I don't know.
What about yourself, Matt?
Yeah, a couple of things that I would now find embarrassing that I also did back in the 80s, which were very typical in South London at the time. One was to wear political badges of different kinds, so everybody would be identified as a communist, as an anarchist, as whatever. So sometimes you'd have people just covered in these political badges, which, including myself. But maybe the thing that still embarrasses me a bit is that, like lots of other people, men, I started painting my nails. And I painted my nails in the anarcho-syndicalist colors. So it was like black, red, black, red, black, red. And I tell this to I thought it was cool at the time, you know, but I tell this to people now and they sort of go, ugh.
That's
like,
gross.
What color? Like black and red or?
Black and red.
Black and red. We missed
one
all
red,
that.
one black.
We missed all that in Ireland. We never got involved in any. We never had groups like that. No, like you guys had very definitive groups of people who followed trends in London and that. In Ireland, when I was growing up, we didn't have that. Everybody was kind of like homogenized. No, that's why I mentioned the thing about the music. Everybody had to do the same thing. No, and if you didn't do the same thing and you stood out, you were almost like, you know, kind of cast aside. You know, like a leper. You know, it was. I think that's the system as well was slightly different, I guess, or the way that we lived was different. We had different influences.
What's next in L'Hospitalet?
Well, I asked them about hair. I'm not going to specify exactly which part of the hair we're talking about, but we'll discuss it afterwards. We already know. Well, have a look and you'll see. I asked the people about hair.
Let's do that.
Have you ever heard of manscaping?
What's that?
A man cutting his pubic hair into certain shapes, just like a woman would have the Brazilian, the runway, the forest, etc. The question is, do you manscape?
Just a little bit cut with the scissors.
Just to make it the same.
The same, a little bit covered.
Yeah.
No designs, no like a heart or anything like this.
I still don't think it's my cup of tea, really.
Do you manscape?
Yes.
No, but I mean here, we're talking about here. You
so
shave?
here I take care.
No,
I don't have a lot of hair, so no, you don't.
You don't need to.
Mm.
Do you have any particular shapes? Any funny like heart shapes or things when you manscape?
France.
Le coq de
absolutely,
France, no?
yeah.
My
No.
cock and the cock of France.
Exactly.
2 cocks.
No, is it okay?
I cut up and cut down. A little bit, but the same little bit.
And what about the women? Do they like it a lot or less?
That women like, yeah,
Yeah?
sure.
What's your tastes?
I like hairy, I like natural, but too much like Wolverine, maybe not.
My husband doesn't hairy.
Your husband isn't hairy. Is your husband from Thailand?
No, he's from France.
He's from France.
Yes.
Okay. Does he take care of his, his area or no?
It's kind of like personal stuff, so I don't really ask him that much about this.
It just appears and you're like, oh my God, it's always like that.
Without hair, that's it.
Okay, very
Like
good.
A baby one.
Like a baby's penis.
Definitely, but bigger.
But bigger.
Please, just slightly bigger.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna ask. I don't even know where to go from.
Okay, Mark, I don't know how, but you always get yourself in this kind of awkward situation.
Listen, I thought, like, for once, we always talk about, like, what the women do, and I make these remarks, and sometimes I come across as maybe my obsession is sex and being sexist, and I had to do it this time, and I had to flip it and say, listen, the men also had to talk about their own fashion trends, and the
Fair
fashion
enough.
trends of manscaping and of laser treatment and all of this, and I thought it was quite funny, and everybody was very open to it. I mean, I've had terrible experiences. You want to know about shaming experiences of manscaping? I don't know.
Do we want to know about
is this
that?
the
I'm just
platform
checking with Marcella,
to talk
you know.
about it? But I did enjoy some of the answers. They were quite funny. Like, some people were like, no, I don't want it like Wolverine. I want it. And it's also funny because during the 90s and the early 2000s, with the introduction of the internet and all that, and, you know, people had a different view on things. And suddenly, I don't know, in my generation, everybody started shaving everything, you know. It was like you had to almost look like a mannequin doll, you know, like, and it was, you're kind of under pressure to do it, because even when I was talking with my friends, they're like, oh, you still have hair? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, you know, that's kind of like normal. And you felt this kind of peer pressure in order to, you know, get things sorted up down there. So, and now it's changed again. Now they're coming back to, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
Going back to the 70s.
Well, go back to the 70s, exactly. They're going back to the close of the 70s and back to the bush of the 70s.
There you go.
Okay, that was a nice one, Mark.
There you go.
What about public trends, you know, such as these like really fashionable and popular objects called spinners that have become very popular at a certain time? Have you used them? Do you know
Spinners,
any
no
other
idea.
similar
Yo-yos.
objects?
I went through the
Yo-yos.
whole thing of yo-yos. Did you have this? No? Where people could do these amazing tricks with yo-yos? And they used to be able to flick them around and all of this.
That's not easy to do, yeah?
No, it's not.
No.
And you can't even find a yo-yo now. I actually was looking the other day. I was like, I was trying to find a yo-yo to bring on set, you know, and I couldn't find them. And like
In a toy shop?
10 years. Yeah, I probably didn't go to a toy shop. Yeah, I didn't. Probably didn't look very hard either, you know. I probably just went to one shop and said, no, we're in Barcelona. You know me, I exaggerate everything. I went to one shop, they didn't have it, so no shop has it. But you're right. You have some of the things here. The spinners.
Spinners, which I
These
don't.
little skateboards. Never understood why. You see kids with their 2 fingers going along the skateboard. I couldn't understand why. What's the
A friend of
attraction?
mine invented that. And he actually
Why am I not surprised? Was it the same friend that you saw UFOs
There were
with, or?
European championships with these things.
Okay.
It became a big thing. These mini skateboards.
So what do you do with them?
Exactly. What do
I've
you do
no
with that?
idea. You have to ask him. I've
So there's
no
a
idea.
European
Okay,
championship
well, we'll
of
ask
people
him for sure.
with
Who
these
race
little
with these.
skateboards.
Yep.
Oh my God. I do remember the marbles. I do remember the marbles. Have you ever lost your marbles, Marcella?
Oh, that's a very nice question.
There we go.
You didn't get me.
No, I
there.
didn't get you. I didn't get you. No, we used to play with marbles, but I never understood how to play it either.
For me, it was the Rubik Cube. Again, because being a teenager in the 70s, everybody had these bloody cubes, you know, and I just had to take one look at them to know I was never, ever going to be able to solve the Rubik's Cube. And those are still around.
Yes,
Yeah,
they are.
they are, yeah.
Should be banned, if you ask me.
Okay, what about balconing?
Balconing, oh my God, Magaluf. As soon as you say balconing, it comes into my head, Magaluf, no? Balconing is the one where they jump off into the swimming pool, right? From like the 3rd or 4th level of a high-rise building. Is that, am I correct on that one?
Usually a hotel.
Usually a hotel, no? This brings back memories of, like, you know, the lads' weekend, the lads' week in Ibiza, and people attempting drunkenly to hit the swimming pool, and more often than not, they just hit the side of the swimming pool. Very dangerous. I would not. Children, don't do it.
Don't do it. We don't recommend it.
Do not do it. It's something I would never, ever try to do. I've seen something similar, something as dangerous as that, is people jumping onto iced swimming pools trying to break the ice. Have you seen these? The ones, these Russians or people? Well, I think it's just as dangerous. I see people and they have to run and they have to try and break the ice to get into the swimming pool. I don't know, in places very cold like Canada, Russia, etc. And the majority of the time the ice is so thick they can't. So they end up like breaking bones and, you know, having ass problems and things like this. So yeah,
well,
ridiculous.
Anyway, I'm a bit afraid to ask, but what's the next video about?
The next video is about, let's say, social media trends. I got people to do a couple of different things. Well, not even social media, just trends. I am. I have an innocent face. It's why I can trick people on the street.
Okay, let's see.
So, today, apart from some questions, we're going to see if some of the people can actually participate and do some of the popular social media trends. You say Thai style.
Hi, style.
Do you remember the advertisement for Budweiser back in the 90s? Where they went like, "What's up?" Remember that one on the phone?
Yeah.
Could you do that with me? Hey, Peter. What's up? What's up? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just chilling, having a beer.
Nice. Chilling. Do you know how to twerk?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna do it.
Oh, come on. Come on. So we've managed to get people to dance, floss, plank, but nobody's twerked. Matthew and Marcella, you guys want to twerk for me?
I think I'm going to retract that offer because the actual image of watching Matthew Tree twerk on television would stay with me for the rest of my days.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's not something you would like to do.
No, you would have to give a warning to viewers before showing that. Yeah.
I think we're gonna pass. I think I'm gonna pass.
You're going to give it a pass.
Anyway, I think
that's
it's
fair
just
enough.
only fair enough. You know, you asked all these people to do these things.
Why
so
do I have the feeling you're going to ask me to do something
ridiculous? I think
ridiculous?
it's only fair that you start, you know, showing us something as well. So what about Neymar? Does it ring a bell?
The guy that consistently dives and is a terrible footballer. Well, he's not a terrible footballer. Yeah, I know of him.
Well, the Neymar challenge, you just, you know, you do what you normally do, and then when someone shouts to you like Neymar, you have to just lie down.
Neymar. More or less? No,
I think
something
so.
like that. I mean, that's imagine. That actually hurt. I don't think I was supposed to do it so brusquely, no?
Okay, well done. And now let's try the bottle flipping challenge.
Okay.
You know what it consists of?
I've seen the kids do it at school. I imagine
you just
the two.
flip the bottles, and they're supposed to be vertical again.
Okay.
Like to stand up vertically.
Yeah.
So who wants to try
Matthew,
first?
I think you can do this one. I think this is not going to...
This is kind of embarrassing. I have spent the last 8 years trying to stop my son doing this on the pavement. You know, he does it all the time, and it's so bloody irritating.
Well, now you're going to give him a...
It's like...
I even think you were supposed to put it on the table.
You should do it
throw
exactly.
it away,
you should try to do that on the table.
Okay. I mean, like I give a shit, you know?
Okay, you surely do, Matthew. Okay.
Your lack of interest in this particular activity, your apathy towards
now
it
your
is quite
turn, Marc.
obvious.
Let's see.
All right, let's give it a go. I've actually never given it a go, never tried. Give me one more go, one more go, one more go. I think I have it. No, that's not going to happen.
Well, that's a pity.
That's not going to happen.
Anyway, Neymar?
Oh, shit.
Okay, sorry, Marc. Okay, what's next?
Can you continue after that? I did you the best Neymar I could, because that's exactly how I would imagine he would do it, no? Like slight touch, bang, down.
Did you hear, about something called the mannequin challenge?
Yeah, mentioned mannequins earlier, actually. They're well manscaped.
Yeah.
Yes,
No,
I believe
I did one with lots of people in Porqueres, close to Banyoles. Yeah.
Okay, so what did you guys do?
There was about 50, 60 people, and we were in a small room with a staircase, and we just had to freeze. We were given a signal to freeze, and whatever we were doing at that moment, we had to stop.
Okay.
So if you're in the middle of a conversation, whatever, you stop. And then they did a traveling. They filmed the whole traveling with a camera.
It's not going to happen, no?
Okay, now we were talking about the mannequin challenge.
I know, I was trying to get one back on Matthew, but it's not going to work.
All right, so...
But almost.
You were close, you were close.
All right, so...
I think we should do a mannequin challenge. I think that's quite simple for you to do. What do you think?
Okay,
before we go?
maybe we can try, but we should say maybe goodbye first.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Otherwise it'll be a bit
so this
rude.
is the end of the show, which today we have dedicated to trends. Remember, you can follow us online through our social networks profile. Use it to catch up with all the episodes or send us the solution to Guess Word Puzzle by Mario Serra, which is the fruit of a lover's eyes, 5 letters. Well, until then, have a nice week and of course, keep your English up and running.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, mannequin.
Lying on the grass in Primrose Hill. Primrose Hill. Primrose Hill. Primrose Hill.